Well, welcome to the Stack and Stats podcast. Pam Maldonado here, joined by Kelly in Vegas to bring you our 5 against the spread contest picks for week 8 of the NFL. Oh my gosh, week 8. It happens.
Kelly, we're literally normally halfway through the season, or really close to it, but it's been kind of a grind, Pam. Last couple of weeks for me I've hit my best bets, which has been great. I don't want to complain about that, but other than that, I've gotten some great numbers and it still hasn't mattered. I gotta think this week's going to be a lot better. I actually played 6 NFL sides, which is a lot for me. So either we're going to have a really great week or I'm going to get a lot of hate on Twitter.
Let's see what happens. We went 3-2 last week, 10-5 in the last 3, bringing our season record to 22-13. We're having a pretty good season. So maybe your individual bets, you have to start following our 5 bets because collectively between the two of us, we are making it work. We are gelling really well. I really love the direction that we are headed in. And I'm gonna keep saying it every week until it happens. We're going 5-0. I have the belief. I know that you are too good at what you do. I have put in a lot of time and research into what I do. So I'm feeling pretty good about entering this week. Just a reminder of what it is that we're doing. We are putting together 5 against the spread contest picks in the NFL, automatically in Kelly's best bet, my best bet, and then together we come up with the rest of the 3. So we'll start first with your best bet. This was my also best bet, and since it was yours, I was like, oh, perfect, locked. So I pivoted to something else. What we are, you have the Saints plus 5.5 at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know why I love it. Let me hear it.
Everybody knows I'm a huge Jameis Winston fan, right? Like this is not up for debate.
Hashtag Jameis forever.
Hashtag Jameis forever, because you never know what you're going to get from Jameis. And what did we get from Jameis on Monday night? A pretty lackluster performance, right? Yeah. The whole world thought they were going to lay points with the Saints on the road. I was on the Seattle Seahawks against a lot of really smart people. But I just said, look, I think you guys are overreacting. Geno Smith is fine. He's not good, but he's fine. And they're going to limit what he's able to do. They're going to get the running game going. It is what it is. Look, Saints coming out of a bye week, I think people expected so much more for them. But I'll be honest with you, I think they had this game circled. Then they have the flip side. You've got Tom Brady. He just threw his 600th touchdown pass and caused all this drama on the Twitter universe. And look, who have they played? I'm sorry. Lots of people can beat up on the lowly Bears, especially at home. I'm just not buying that this line should be 5.5. I know we're now seeing in the market 4.5. The contest line is 5.5, Pam. Just want to confirm that.
It is 5.5.
And so we've seen this line come down a little bit. This line should be 3.5 at the very most. That being said, love Sean Payton as a home dog, 6-1-1. And that dates back to like over a decade ago, because they're never home dogs. Why? Because of Drew Brees. I think a lot of people aren't really giving this defense credit. I believe this is going to be one of those really close, tight divisional games. Hopefully New Orleans can squeak out a win, because I sprinkled a little bit on that money line.
So correction, this line is actually 5, not 5.5. Okay. I still love it.
Yeah, no, listen, I do think the Saints are going to win this game. I think this is a field goal type game either way, where the Saints should be able to get the win at home. I understand that we all love Tom Brady. We know they won the Super Bowl last year, but I think this line is given way too much credit to those guys. And especially without Gronk still, I know they were rumors of him coming back this week, but I don't think even if he does, he's going to get a ton of touches. And it looked like they haven't missed a beat since he's been out. But when you play teams like the Dolphins and the Bears, things tend to look that way.
So you and I have been doing this for a few weeks now. And what I have determined is that I know I like a team to win. I'm going to bet them. I don't care what the spread is. I like them to win. I have no idea how to figure out a number. You, however, are really good at figuring out what a number should be. So last week, I absolutely knew that the Saints were going to beat the Seahawks, but you still said the line is still too high. I have no idea. I have no clue. You had asked me one time, what do you think the line should be without Russell Wilson? And I was like, I don't know, like a 1-point difference. I literally have no idea when it comes to setting a line to things. All I know is who's going to win the game, bet that side. You come off with the spread a lot easier. Same thing with the Falcons. I loved the Falcons to win the game last week over the Dolphins. They get it done. They didn't get the spread for us. You said this number is probably should be the right side. Spread's a little bit too high, but I agree with you that it's the Falcons. There you go. You already know the same thing with the spreads. So I think that's where I struggle with finding some of the things that you like, and you are trying to find some of the things that I like because we see things differently. I'm glad that we agree on this one, but it was just like, it's one of those things where I don't know how to decipher between a 3-point spread and a 2.5-point spread. I know a team's going to win, and that's where I go off of. What kind of advice, just from like a general guidance, hearing me say this, that's probably the general public, to be honest, of how you kind of combat that of, I like a team to win, but I don't know about the spread coverage.
That's difficult. And that's where you'll see some of these guys. And let's just use a touchdown type scenario this week. Well, it's not quite, but the Patriots Chargers, right? No one wants to lay minus 240 with the Chargers, right? That's too scary. And I understand that. So what do people start doing? They start parlaying them with the other favorites. And there are those weekends where, the books get clobbered because all those money line favorites come in. While they may not cover, they win the game. And that's where it gets difficult. There is actually some really great references out there. I can tweet it out later of what each money line should be based on the spread. And you can notice that, especially like last night, the Packers money line was low on the game Thursday night with the Cardinals. Why? Because a lot of people were betting it. People weren't betting Packers plus 6.5. People were betting Packers on the money line. They were perplexed by the line. And that being said, the bookmakers got clobbered on that game. But I'll tweet out a link, and so you can look and see it. And maybe, especially with some of these smaller ones, like you mentioned the Falcons for us last weekend, Falcons minus 140 would have been the better play than laying the 2.5 with the Falcons. Now we can say that in hindsight, but there is actual data to prove that long-term betting those money lines is more profitable than betting those spreads. We do know that 1 and 2 fall about 4% of the time each. So it's not like it happens all that often, but over the course of your betting career, it might be more profitable to do that.
Well, then getting back to what we were just talking about, the Tampa Bay at the Saints, just to kind of add on to that, New Orleans, they definitely do have a great scoring and defense. They lead the NFL in opponent points per play and opponent touchdowns allowed. The Bucs lead the NFL with 3.1 touchdowns scored in the red zone per game. But the Saints, however, they're allowing just 35% of red zone possessions to be converted into touchdowns, the lowest in the league, and has forced more field goals of 11 than touchdowns. And perhaps head coach Sean Payton, maybe he has the Bucs number. I know it's with Brady now, but Tampa has lost the last 5 straight to the Saints, including 0-2 last year. Of course, that was with Drew Brees behind center. Both teams top 10 in takeaways, so we could see some definite turnovers in this game, hopefully from Brady. But because this season, though, I'm going to call him LASIK Winston. He does have 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for 138 QBR rating in his 2 home starts this season. So Jameis Winston at home, better than he is on the road with that stout defense. I love it. You mentioned the money line. I actually have already taken that. Plus 185 is what you can find it now. Maybe we can do another 3-team parlay, and this will be on it.
I would agree with that. I do think I'm gonna conjure one up. Maybe we can conjure one up together here with some of our plays for this weekend, because the more and more I start to look at this Saints game, the more and more I love it.
I absolutely do love it. So that is your best bet, taking the Saints +5 in the contest at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My best bet is going to be Bears +4 at home to the San Francisco 49ers. There's not really too much that separates these teams. They're both run-first teams, both stout against the pass, both vulnerable against the run. And Bears running back Khalil Herbert, he had 100 rushing yards against Tampa last week. He was the only running back to hit this number against the Bucs this season, and the first running back to hit this number against the Bucs since week 14 of last year, when the Vikings running back Dalvin Cook hit 102 rushing yards. So he could definitely ride that high. He had 133 scrimmage yards, ride it into this week. And Chicago, they're second best in the pass rush. That's my concern, is that they are going to be without both top 2 linebackers in Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. I'm assuming this is where you can help me. That's already baked into the line. What do you think?
It is. And I think we're seeing the market head up to 4 on that one, Pam. So we're getting 3.5 in the contest, correct?
4.
We are getting 4 in the contest. Okay.
Yes.
Look, I most of the time you do see these things baked into the cake, and, then sometimes some kind of breaking news, which we can get to in a minute. For example, the Minnesota line with Dak Prescott potentially not playing. it appears he's not, which is why the lines move that way.
Mm-hmm.
Try not to overreact too much while Khalil Mack is the backbone of that defense. I don't think that they're going to miss him too much. This is, for me, the reason why when you text me, you like this play, I said, they were on my long list. I didn't get to the window with them, but I'm okay with them, was because this isn't a play on the Bears. This is exactly what I did last week with my best bet with the Colts, and that was a play against the 49ers. Mm-hmm. And I think playing against the 49ers until further notice is the right move. Look, just like we say in college, if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And right now, Jimmy G's not well. Trey Lance, I think, needs some more time to fit into that system. And I honestly think it's an upgrade that Matt Nagy's not going to be there on Sunday.
Oh, that was my icing on the cake of why I love this. We are going to see more punting than we are scoring. Both teams are 30th and 31st in the league for converting on third downs. My concern is that since the 2020 season, San Francisco is 1-2 at home, 1-10 at home, which is why we hated them last week, but they are 7-4 on the road. Maybe though, this could be a field goal game. Matt Nagy, as you mentioned, won't be coaching. He is out for, hopefully he's okay and well, but he is out after testing positive for COVID. You don't give him the play calling duties. I absolutely love it. And so, yes. Do you have any concerns for the road versus away splits?
No, I just don't think it's a big enough sample size to really get on my radar versus last week when we spoke about Kyle Shanahan at home. I do know that the Niners have had some successes over the last couple of years, but right now this team just isn't well. This defense isn't well. This offense isn't clicking. I think right now they're a fade team until further notice.
Bears plus 175 on the money line. Just throwing it out there. All right. So then we have our two
I have
games.
it in the back of my mind, and probably come Sunday, I will get there mentally, but sometimes on Thursdays and Fridays, I get real hesitant because I tend to fall in love with certain teams. And then by Sunday, like the Eagles last week, I'm like, God, I hate this so much. And it's kind of one of those things where I like to look at the market Sunday mornings and see kind of what the bookmakers need and see where the dust is going to settle.
I'm not sure that I could get to the window with a money line. I definitely do love the 4. I can see this being an exact 3-point game.
Absolutely.
And I have no idea about how you figure out the spreads and whatnots, but just tell me this doesn't come down to a field goal. 2 run first teams who aren't very great in red zone passing touchdowns, good at defending touchdowns in the red zone, field goals all game. That's what I like.
This looks like one of those boring, just like Monday night, just a boring, very.
And the total is 39.5.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, some of the other games that we do have on the board, you were just mentioning it. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay. This is where things start to get a little finicky. Cowboys at the Vikings. I know you love the Vikings. Vikings plus 1.5 for the contest, which is a great line value because the current line for actual betting is Vikings minus 1.5. We do now know that more than likely Dak Prescott will not be playing this game. The Vikings, other than that, honestly, I have no idea what to say because I was on the Cowboys prior to the Dak Prescott news, and simply because of line value for contest purposes, I would assume this is just like an automatic lock to put in, but then knowing that probably everyone's going to have that.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Pam. I'm trying to look at the market here and see kind of where everything's at. Cause I thought I saw a 3. I thought I saw Vikings minus 3 earlier, which it would make this a tremendous line value, but you're right. Most people, yes, we are seeing 3s. There's a couple 2.5s, rogue ones in Vegas, but yeah, it's up to 3 now. And that's where you have to kind of decide, is it worth it now? Is everybody going to be on Minnesota because of that line value? Yeah, probably. It's probably going to be the most popular pick this week. I know that I got plus 2.5 in one of my office football pools earlier, and I'm like, I have to play it. There was a couple other crazy numbers. I got plus 1 with the Colts still. Some of those stale lines, I like to take advantage, especially in contests. Now, the Joe public and more of the office football pools don't really know to play those. They just play the games. They don't really pay much attention throughout the week, and they just log in on Saturday and put in their picks. The Vegas-based contests are a little bit different, right? You're shelling up quite a bit of money. And so those guys tend to do a lot more research. I do like the Minnesota side. I did take them up to 8.5 when they were 2.5 in a teaser. I said, this is my teaser leg. I said, this is a perfect spot for an open teaser. I don't have anybody else to put them with because the Panthers line moved, but here's my thought process. So I actually am kicking myself that I didn't bet them plus 2.5 as well, because that would have been a great line. I would like to use it in the contest unless we find 3 others that we love a lot more. But yes, in terms of value, absolutely.
I know that Prescott, huge, huge, huge deal. I'm not sure. This is where you can tell me, is he worth losing? Is he worth what is that, a 5-point move? Because the Vikings, they are still 26 in rushing yards allowed, giving up nearly 5 yards per carry. And you have two running backs for the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott himself is rushing for over 5 yards per carry. Tony Pollard is averaging 6. Tell me this is not going to be a ground and pound game for Elliott and Pollard to just run up that. I mean, they could definitely score on this Vikings defense just with the run game alone. The good for Vikings, though, they do have a great red zone defense. They are second in opponent red zones attempts and 10th in opponent red zone scores. So I can see this being a low scoring game, even though the total was up there in the 50s. But I mean, I can still see success with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So is that not a concern to you at all?
So in terms of asking your question you asked, I just had to Google who was going to be, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush. It does look like Cooper Rush is going to be ready to play. Now, look, crazier things could happen. I actually text Scott Van Pelt earlier. We're playing each other this week in fantasy. And I'm like, Scott, can I get a side bet, my dude? Like, I think Scott's like 4-1 against me in the last 5 years. And he goes, not with his Dak news. And I go, if you bet me, Dak's going to play. Like, something crazy is going to happen, right? Like, where then I'm just going to get freaking clobbered this week because all of a sudden Dak's just going to get miraculously better. But the line move, the way that a lot of books had this off the board, I'm going to go ahead and guess that more people often than not have confirmed that he's probably not playing. I do think that he's probably close to a 5, if not 5.5 point move from him to Cooper Rush. Remember, Cooper Rush has not really played that much. Now, does it really matter? We just spoke about Geno Smith. Yes and no. Mike McCarthy is probably one of my least favorite coaches in the NFL because I think he makes really bonehead mistakes. And a lot of those bonehead mistakes came in Green Bay, which is why he lost his job. I think he's made a little bit of leaps and bounds in Denver. Plus, he's got a really great squad. That helps his case. I don't know how limited Cooper Rush is going to be. In theory, What you just said is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys game plan should be. But I don't trust Mike McCarthy. And if you want to give me Coach Zimmer, one of the best defensive minds in the league, while his team has not proven that this year, versus Mike McCarthy, I think they have the coaching edge here, plus the value in the number. I think we can table this. And if we don't find 3 others that we like, then that's just an easy 5th, just based on value alone. But yes, I can totally see what you're saying. I think the Cowboys should absolutely just run the ball down the Vikings' throat. Is that going to really be what happens? Maybe not.
I'm going to go with yes, because the last time Cooper Rush had an offensive snap was in November of 2017. That is the last time he has played. So it would be the smart, logical, no-brainer thing to do is to run your 2 best running backs and down the Vikings' throats, who is they have a terrible, terrible defense. Now, was that going to come into fruition? We don't know. Now, my other concern then for this game is if we were to add it on, what if Dak Prescott does play? And now we're stuck with this.
Well, the good news is we're not going to be stuck with a bad line. If Dak does play, I think this line moves back to a pick 'em, maybe even a -1 scenario, just because even if he does play, I don't think he's going to be fully healthy, and the market will probably adjust backwards, but I don't think it'll over adjust. So I still think the line is probably where it should be. That being said, yes, crazier things have happened where we hear coaches say that a player is going to be out. That's the news cycle all week long. And then boom, there he is suited up on Sunday morning.
All right, then. Well, then we will table that for now and consider the rest of the games. Another game that we both have up. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. It's confusing as heck. Titans at the Colts. Minus, here is the big caveat. Earlier, when you sent me a text message that earlier in the week, you said that you liked Colts +1. Well, for the contest, it is Colts -2.5. So for that reason alone, you absolutely cannot play it. You and I think we preach it religiously more so than anybody. Never play a worse number. So if we wouldn't do that for betting purposes, why would we do that for contest purposes? It's all the same. Are we betting it right now at this moment? No. But would I take Colts -2.5, knowing that I could have had Colts +1, or it would have been a at least +100 on the money line, and now you're having to lay -140? minus 130. That's a little bit, that's a big difference. What do you think about this one?
I would agree. I think you absolutely have to pass. Look, the Colts line has just gotten the crap beat out of it. And look, the Titans have looked good 2 weeks in a row. I was very happy with the Titans cashing and helping me save some face on Sunday. But this is one of those divisional games. Colts playing better as well. I think it's going to be a knockout, drag out game. I considered teasing the Colts, but it didn't get to 1.5. It was at +1. Then I looked at teasing the Titans. It's all the way up to 3 in the market. So this is going to end up being a game where, unfortunately, we just are where we're at, right? And you're right, at 2.5 under 0 circumstances, am I taking that line?
And King Henry is still King Henry, but the Colts do have running back Jonathan Taylor, who has posted 114, 169, 158, and 110 total yards in his last 4 games with 6 touchdowns. Henry does lead the league in rushing yardage on gains of 10 plus yards. Taylor is second. So you have the best running back facing the second best running back in all of the NFL. The Titans are 27th in opponent yards per carry, so I can definitely see Jonathan Taylor having more success on the ground than Henry. What Indianapolis does having going for them is that the Titans, they have faced just 18 total rushing attempts from Buffalo and KC combined in back-to-back games. So potentially they're coming into this with a lot less preparation. They can just get smacked in the face with Taylor, who's all of a sudden just like being King Henry part 2. So I don't disagree with the line move, but for contest purposes, you can't use this movement.
Yeah, I think the Titans will be a really popular pick this week because of that 2.5, right? I do think a lot of people are going to think that there's some value there. I actually find 0 value on either side of this line.
Perfect. So then we will table that, and that's not even going to be an option. Another option that we do have is potentially Washington football team +3 at the Broncos. You liked the Broncos. I liked Washington. So maybe let's just like discuss it a little bit. You have Denver linebacker Von Miller last week before he was playing Cleveland saying, "I'm going to eat your soul. I got you. I'm coming for you." He generated 0 sacks. This isn't
I think he got half a sack, didn't he?
He didn't get anything. He didn't get anything. Like, he got like just 1 tackle too.
It was just ugly. That was such an ugly game. This Denver's team is in a world of hurt, and so is my over 8.5 wins. But you know who is also in a world of hurt? The Washington football team. How in the do you get in the red zone 6 times and come up with 3 points? Yeah, I'm sorry. You come up with 3 points, but basically it was nothing. It might as well have been nothing. It was a really infuriating game.
It was.
And I'm really glad I didn't get to the window on it with my bets, because that would have just added to my frustration. That being said, I played Broncos at 3. I'm assuming the contest is 3.5.
It's 3.
It is 3. I think because we are head to head here, we should probably stay away. I played Broncos early in the week. Now it is up to 3.5. Knowing that you can get that hook makes me like a little bit of the Washington football side, but at 3, I think the Broncos should be able to handle business at home.
It is 3. Just to kind of explain why it is that I do like it is because, yeah, Denver, they don't have a threatening pass rush. They lead the team with sacks. They lead the team with sacks. It's questionable. The person who leads the team with sacks is questionable, which is Von Miller. And Washington football team, they have 2 defensive ends that can apply pressure to Teddy Two Gloves, Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat. And Bridgewater, he has been sacked 18 times this season, versus 9 from Taylor Heineke. So that alone is going to make me like Washington football team, because they can generate some of that quarterback pressure that Denver's not able to apply. And now you give me Heineke under a clean pocket. I think right now he is the better quarterback, and I like taking Bridgewater as an underdog. I don't necessarily like taking the Broncos and Bridgewater as a favorite. And Denver secondary, they are vulnerable. They're 10th in opponent passing yards, 15th in opponent yards per pass. And Denver still bad on third downs. They're still 28th for converting on third down conversions. This isn't a good defense team anymore that they used to be. And the games involving Broncos are averaging a combined 38 points per game. That tells you alone that they're not stopping anybody. They're 31st in the league. So now you give me Heineke, who's coming off of probably his worst performance of just like bonehead mistakes in the red zone. As we said, 6 red zone trips. I had a small money line on Washington because it could have freaking happened had they converted
it probably should have happened. I mean, especially against that Green Bay defense. I'm telling you, I watched that game. My boyfriend's a Packers fan, and he's just sitting there just like loving life. And I'm like, this is horseshit. Like, look at this. This is ridiculous. Oh, I was so frustrated.
Well, then we'll go ahead and table this one as well. I don't think I could get to the window with Broncos knowing that they have such a terrible offensive line protection going up against a really good Washington football team pass rush. So that could be something that we scrap off, which is, hey, we're running out of options. Here's another one, though. We got Jags +3 at the Seahawks. This could be a big game for Jags running back James Robinson. The Jags are second best in yards per rush attempt, and Seattle is second worst in defending rushing yards allowed. They are sixth worst in passing yards allowed. And I want to say that Trevor Lawrence, he's starting to look a little bit better. He has 1 interception in his last 3 games compared to 7 in his first 3. And when I look at pressure, I love looking at quarterback pressure. Seattle is 7th worst in generating quarterback pressure. And the Jags, anyway, they have a top 10 offensive line. They do a really good job of protecting Lawrence. And Seattle head coach Pete Carroll, he absolutely insists on running the ball. That is his MO, especially now without Russell Wilson. And now you have Geno Smith. He's a very conservative play caller. He is conservative on 4th down decision making. And well, guess what? The Jags, that happens to be their defensive strength against the run. They are top 5 in opponent yards per rush attempt. I think this is going to be a low scoring field goal game. Seattle's inefficiencies are definitely being exploited without Russell Wilson behind center. And I know that the Seattle has faced a tough competition in the last couple of weeks with the Steelers, and then with who did they face?
Seattle, the Saints.
And the Saints. I mean, those are 2 really good defenses that you're going up against back to back. So now you're facing Jags, which is a kind of a step down, but still you have one offense right now that's on the run. And now you're going up against a team that's their strength, is against the run. So I do like the Jags. The line is +3, not +3.5.
If it was 3.5, I would say sign me up all day. We spoke about this game on Wednesday, a couple of buddies and I'm like, do you think this game gets at 3.5? Sure enough, it's at 3.5. So I played it. I would love to get that hook, but I do lean towards the Jags here at 3. It makes me a little hesitant. You could probably talk me into it, but man, it's that's a big difference. And that was what you and I were just speaking about. And I think a lot of people don't realize that hook is a lot more valuable. I mean, right now, 3 is the most common number that games land on by far. And
we do get a push. We do get that half point if we push.
Very good point. That is a very good point. You do get a half point if you push. I'm with you on the Jags. If we don't find another couple of them, then we've got to go with it, because that's a game that we both at least agree on, even though we aren't getting that precious half a point.
Well, then let's talk about how do you feel about the Jets?
I hate the Jets. I hate them. The Jets are so infuriating. God.
I will not bet the Jets. I will not bet the Jets, except 10.5 on the road after you just completely annihilated the Baltimore Ravens.
I mean, you couldn't have a higher stock right now.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, you couldn't. I don't. I know exactly what you're saying, and I knew this was going to come up. I was really hoping we could find another 5 without having to deal with these guys. Look, yeah, I'm with you. This is a quintessential buy low, sell high, and everybody wants to buy so high on Cincinnati right now.
And how much worse could Mike White actually be to Zach Wilson? Honestly, like,
he's not going to be much worse. I actually was thinking if it was Joe Flacco, I would feel better. And I know that sounds insane to say.
No, I 100% would have been on this.
Okay, so the Bengals do have the Browns on deck. That was what I was getting ready. That's what I was trying to look for. Yes, I think we have to play the Jets. Sandwich spot. It is in between those 2 divisional games for the Bengals. Do you think they care about this Jets team? Absolutely not. No. They want to go back in and they want to beat the crap out of the Browns next week like they just did the Ravens.
If this was
I had
Bengals,
them on my list, and I have like 8 crosses through them, and I have in parentheses sandwich. So I did remember that.
If this was Bengals at home, this is an entirely different story. But now you're doing 10 and the hook on the road after this such a big monumental game to the Ravens, with another big monumental game on deck.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Jets.
Literally the only reason.
God.
I have no other reason other than what I just said. Not that the Jets are great, that they can contend, that they're going to stop, that they're going to stop the Bengals, that they're going to stop Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I don't know about any of that, but I know that this is like the peak quintessential definition of buy low, sell high.
I'm sorry. I'm not convinced that the Bengals need to be double-digit road favorites just yet.
They almost lost to the Jags on the road.
I have this game at 7.5, Pam. And in a perfect world, it should be a play on each and every single time. I just know how lowly this Jets team is. And when they lose by 24, we can say, well, we knew that was going to happen. It'll be fine. We'll just say, you know what? We knew that was going to happen. That's what you get when you sign up for the Jets. If they lose by a touchdown, we can sit back and be like, wow, we're so smart.
Hold your nose. You don't have to tail us on this one, guys. This is definitely more contest purposes. Who's going to have the Jets on their freaking cards? Probably no one, while the world is going to have the Colts
and like 55 other people who are like into whatever that is, where you're like
into pain. Into pain.
I was thinking of like sadomasochism or something like weird, but like, yeah, basically same thing where you're into the abuse, because this is what the Jets do to people. Yeah, I mean, they were on my very long list, and I couldn't do it.
Very long list. All right, well, we'll keep it there as an option. We'll keep it there.
This is another one that was on my list that we have seen some line move, so I'm sure it's not super advantageous in the contest. It's probably a 5 or 4.5 in the contest. Is the Patriots at the Chargers? That was next to talk about, and that's one of my concerns. Also, is we're not going to do the Colts because of the line change. Well, the Patriots in the contest is +5. In other contests, it is 6. So I'm not good. This is why I was talking about that whole, I like the line. You are good with the line stuff. I'm not. And I want to pull this chart back up. Let me pull it up on my computer so it doesn't look like I'm texting.
My concern with taking the Patriots is that they have played Miami, Jets twice, and Houston. And versus Tampa, I've talked about it before. That was a really big moment for Tampa Brady. I can't not say Tampa Brady anymore. For Brady, when he was back home with Belichick, it was a big moment for him breaking Drew Brees' record. They just caught him at a really great time. They lost by 2 scores to the Saints, and against Dallas, very misleading 35-29 loss. The Cowboys owned the Patriots, 567 yards of offense compared to 335 from the Patriots. They went 2 of 5 in the red zone. So the Chargers, their only vulnerability is against the run. 45% of the yardage allowed by the Chargers has come from the run, the highest rate in the league. The Patriots don't run. They're 23rd in rushing yards, 22nd in yards per carry. I don't like Patriots getting 5, especially since the other contests have 6. I don't think I would lean to the Chargers, honestly. But if you like Patriots,
I do like the Patriots here. I do. And that is because I think this Patriots team is better than what we've been advertised. Yes, I totally understand what you're saying. They beat the crap out of the Jets, but I don't think anybody's sitting there patting this team on the back for beating the crap out of the Jets. You and I just spoke about the Jets. This is more on how valuable should the Chargers be. I'm not sure that Chargers, even coming out of their bye week, should be laying this much. Look, New England's been competitive, right? In almost every single game. That overtime loss to Dallas still infuriates me. I'm glad we got it for the contest, but for my bets. And then don't forget, they were competitive against Tampa Bay. They probably should have won that game. And unfortunately, that weird rogue loss to Miami to start the season. We know what Bill Belichick's success against the Chargers has been. I would like to think that 5 is a dead number in theory still, but I just looked it up and it actually happens a little bit more than I would have thought previously. That being said, 6 would be ideal. The market's now 4.5. And so to see that reverse line movement from 6 to 4.5 tells me that's a lot of really sharp money on this side. I do like the Pats here. If you do not, we can table it as well. And then we can kind of decide, okay, cool. Which other, 2 games are we really going to get to the window? Are we going to say it's fine? We'll take the Vikings here with the value. Maybe we can talk about, that's really all I got on my list, but maybe we can talk about a couple of these other random games we do know. We spoke about this last week, the double-digit favorites. What do? 2 out of 3 of them covered outright. Don't forget to bet those unders again this week, by the way. All 3 hit last week, so I will be on those double-digit unders.
Vikings, simply because of the line value, and kind of just like forget what the rest of the field competition is going to do, because we kind of don't have other options. You and I don't agree on Washington and Broncos. We're not doing the Colts because of the significant line difference that we get. We liked +1. The line is now 2.5 for the contest. That's a no-go. And then other options.
Thoughts on the Lions?
Oh no.
Oh, we can play Detroit,
no.
but we can play the New York Jets, but not Detroit. I think Detroit wins that game. I like Dan Campbell. This team plays a lot harder at home. Philadelphia is a freaking dumpster fire. I'll probably be on Detroit by Sunday morning. I like the 3 in the hook. I think that they get themselves their first win. That's my personal opinion. That doesn't mean that I'm willing to back it with my hard-earned dollars.
Let me see what the line is. It is 3 in the hook. It is 3.5.
And that makes it so much more enticing, at least to me. I think the Lions, it's ugly. Don't get me wrong. And they're on my list to look. Like I said, I play a lot of last minute stuff on Sunday morning, just like market things, some of the fun stuff as far as totals and things like that go. If we see a significant line move, probably going to be on them on Sunday and probably going to hate myself. So we'll see. I don't want to. I mean, if we're going to play the Jets, I don't see why we don't play the Lions. If we're going to have just like the ugliest
you're exactly
card.
Right. You're exactly right. Okay. Let me check one thing. Can't tell you what I'm checking, but let me check it. Fuck. Okay. I'm down with that. It's either that that would only still give us 4 anyway. So then let's just do it because we're getting the home hook.
The Saints, the Bears, the Lions, the Jets.
Jesus Christ, what is this card?
I mean, the Bears is just as ugly, in my opinion, as the Jets and the Lions. But it makes a lot of sense because I said I'm not betting on the Bears. I'm playing against the Niners in that one. We definitely don't agree on the Broncos side, especially with
Jags?
3. I think we go with the Vikings here.
And the Vikings. What did I have for the Vikings? Why is it not here? Everyone gonna be on it, but it's okay. We're trying to win. And if that's potentially a winning pick, then yeah, why wouldn't you? The line value is absolutely insane. So for that reason alone. Confirm. Yep, you are getting Vikings +1.5.
I like it. I think Minnesota wins this game by a touchdown. And I liked it at 2.5. That's with Dak Prescott. That's with everything else. And now to see the line significantly move, I think all the value on the Minnesota side is gone. So to be able to play them in the contest, still have something to cheer for in that one, I think is going to be great.
And don't overthink it because you have no Dak Prescott and he is the heart and soul of this offense. So even if running back Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard are able to run it down their throats, I mean, how much really, like, there's still probably going to be confusion, honestly. My concern is also I'm still just so nervous about it because look at what they did with the Browns. They lost to the Browns by 7. And that is essentially, it was an exact replica of what the Cowboys are entering this game as a no quarterback with 2 running backs.
I get it. I think that the value there is, it'd be different if we liked 5 other games. Like we're like, nope, there's no reason to use it. But reaching for that 5th, I mean, we basically just talked each other into the Jets and the Lions before we caved and took the advantageous line of the Vikings.
Then would you like the Jags over the Jets instead of the Jags +3 instead of either the Jets +10.5 or the Lions +3.5, since those are ones that you're thinking.
I'm going with Jags over Jets. The more I look at this Lions game, I know I'm going to end up on the Lions on Sunday, but there was no reason for me to hurry up to rush to bet this team. I also lean the Cleveland Browns, but I know it's 3.5. I hate that. If it was 3, I would say all day we bet the Browns. I hate that hook. I really, really do.
And don't force it because yes, I could definitely see this game finishing by exactly 3 points as well. 2023, 14-17.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to bite ourselves in the ass for forcing that one when we could have had maybe 3 other ones. So then, okay, we have the Bears +4 at home. We have the Saints +5 at home to the Bucks. We have the Lions +3.5, Vikings +1.5. And would you rather have the Jags then +3 at the Seahawks or the Jets +10.5 at home to the Bengals? Great 10-year spot. We already talked about it. Jags, I love them. Only if you feel like they come out with a win. I have them marked down as +165 on the money line. If you don't think that's feasible based off of Seahawks competition that they faced in back-to-back weeks, the Steelers and then the Saints, and now this is easier, or do you want sandwich spot Jets?
I think both are really, really ugly. Both are scary, but I trust the Jags more to get a win than I do the Jets.
Oh, no one's asking the Jets to win. Come on.
No one's asking the Jets to win, but I'm going to be honest with you. That's the expectation here. No one's asking the Jets. We're asking the Jets to cover, but we know the NFL with how tight the lines are, it really truly is just pick the winner. And these double-digit favorites have just done so well. The more I think about it, like the Jags is definitely the play.
Think of where they've done well though, at home.
Fair. I mean, like I said, the Bengals have no business laying this number. But if they win 21-10 and we lose by 11, we're going to hate everyone and everything on Sunday afternoon. And that is just what the Jets do to people.
Right. No, you're exactly right. All right. Well, then we're going to stick it with that. It's not the finest of cards, but you know what? It is 5, and it is the ugly ones that push us through.
It's going to be 5-0. It's our ugliest card, and it's going to go 5-0, Pam.
It's the one that we both absolutely despise, and it's going to be the one that gets us to the window with 5-0. I love it. Okay, we're taking the Bears +4 at home to the San Francisco 49ers, the Saints +5 at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Lions +3.5 at home to the Eagles, the Vikings +1.5 at home to the Cowboys, and the Jags +3 on the road to the Seattle Seahawks. Would you like to put together a 3-teamer or a 2-teamer? We don't have to force 3. It can be a 2. You want to just
I need to think about it and look a little bit further to pick a 3-teamer, but I do think you should tweet one out. So I'm going to shoot you a text message and we're going to figure out. It's definitely got Saints money line. Just go ahead and bet that one right now because we know the line is going to be dropping there. But Pam, I'm going to look a little bit harder because I really want to add Pat's money line to it as well. I'm not saying I've done it yet, but I have it circled as well as Lions money line now. So I think you and I can talk about it. Maybe we take out the Pats. Maybe we do Saints, Bears, Lions.
Saints, Bears. I mean, follow the yellow brick road. Saints, Bears, Lions. Oh my. This is exactly. I love it. I'm going to stick to all of that. Okay, we do it.
All right. Sounds great.
I love it. Saints, Bears, Lions, Saints. Hold on. Saints. Okay. I don't know if the Bears, I might do the Jags. Jags over Bears.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We will tweet something out, but these are going to be our options between the 14th. The Saints, Bears, Lions, Jags, and we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But then,
I think we do a bunch of 2-team round robins. That's my call.
Actually, that is a great idea. But that does it for our 5 against the spread contest picks. Do make sure to follow Kelly on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. You can follow me on Twitter at Pamela M35. And that does it for another episode of Stack of Stats.